friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead, and today I'm canning apples and dehydrating apples, but I'm also starting my apple cider vinegar, or my apple core vinegar, which is going to take much longer, so it's a separate video. So let's make apple core vinegar. Here are our cores and our apple peels from our first batch of canning apples. Now you know why I washed all my apples before I did this. And we're just going to put them in this stainless stock pot. I have several of these, or at least two with handles and one without. And but I'm almost done canning for the year, so I really don't need this much. Okay, now for every cup of water we're going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. So I'm going to do this mechanically here. This is a 2-cup measure, so I'm going to add 2 of my organic sugar. Mix that in there, and we're going to pour this over our apples. We only want just enough water to cover our apple stuff. Now I'm using basic room temperature water. You want this to just cover the apples. So we're just going to keep doing this until we cover the apples. So don't ask me for measurements, folks. Why? Because you need enough liquid to cover your apples, and for every cup of water you put 1 tablespoon of sugar. So it all depends on how many apple cores and peels you have. If you push this down, the water comes up over the top of the apples. You don't want to flood the apples. Now I'm going to put this plate in here upside down to hold the apple stuff under the water, and I'm going to go put this in the pantry, and when I'm done with the rest of my apples, I will add more apple stuff and more sugar water. Okay, here's our apple peels. See how you can just press them down? And I've added the extra water and sugar for the rest of these. Some of these apples were too small to do anything with, so I just put them in here. Now we're going to put our plate in here. I had it this way. You don't want it that way because there's a divot. You want that pressing down. This is a good time to use your used lids or lids that came with your jars. We're just going to press that down like that, and that's going to hold everything under the water. And we're just going to cover it with this dish towel. And I'm going to set this on top of the wood box over near the wood stove. You don't want it hot, but you do want it warm because this is a fermentation process. All right, I got potatoes and everything all over the place. Here, this is starting to smell like vinegar, folks. You know what? I'm going to leave this for another week, guys. I'm going to leave it for another week. On goes that. And we'll very carefully drape this over it, and we'll be back in another week to check. Okay, here is our first batch. And I gotta tell you, it smells really vinegary, and we're gonna strain this. Look at all that wonderful bubbling activity. Let's see if this bowl holds the water. Now you can pour most of this juice off without dumping all of these. Now I've ordered some acid test strips to come so that I can test the acidity of this. Set this aside. I'm going to start straining this out. It's already getting a nice color into half-gallon jars. Just want to make sure I get all the any little bits out. But I didn't want to lose, you know, any mother or anything, so I'm going to put a clean cloth over this. And I'm just going to put an elastic band on it. And this is going back over. Let me get the other one done here. And now these are going to continue. These are going to continue to ferment. Like the liquid is going to continue to process into vinegar. Until it reaches the right acidity. These are going to go back over to on top of the wood box where they can continue to ferment for another couple of weeks, maybe even a month. Okay, here's what I want to show you. These test strips are in Chinese, so I can't really tell, but look at these. This is water. This was dipped in giant tiger vinegar. This was dipped in to my apple scrap vinegar, and this was dipped into my second apple scrap vinegar. Now, I stirred it, but this stuff you see floating on the top is called SCOBY. And SCOBY is the bacterial nature that helps it to turn to vinegar. So that is not a bad thing. That's natural and where it's supposed to be. So these have been strained and labeled, and apparently a little bit of cloudiness is fine. But they've been strained and put in airtight containers, and I have one more of these jars of apple scrap vinegar brewing. This is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead and success. Apple scrap vinegar. I'll do it with pears next year too. Take care, God bless. Special announcement from 4 Jars. The folks at 4 Jars are having a Black Friday sale from 6 p.m. November 24th to the end of the day on the 28th. They're giving you a whopping 30% off, with the exception of already bundled items. Add the coupon code HALFACRE for an additional 10% off. That's 40%. Now, if you've not already shopped for the home canner in your life, then this sale is for you. It makes the perfect gift. Remember, November 24th, 6 p.m. to November 28th, the end of the day. 4 Jars canning lids, the only lids I'll use. You can't go wrong with 4 Jars.